in this competition is already a world champion.
A lot of fun, a lot of good stories.
Good.
Yeah.
And where's he at? Is he in LA?
Granada Hills.
Okay.
So we met in Brentwood in one of Arnold's favorite restaurants.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
it was great. It was absolutely great.
Yeah. What's he got going? Is he promoting any shows or anything, or is he doing anything?
No, he's working on some supplements. Possibly with Kaspari together.
Mhm.
Yeah, supplements, and he's doing some training. And that's probably it, what I got.
Yeah.
Holy smell.
I did not know that. It did surprise, few stories did surprise me. So, you know, when you look at his career, 79, he won the Mr. Universe. 80, he went pretty much as a kid to the Olympia. And then 81, 82, 83, we all know. But what I did not know is after he was banned by the IFBB, he went to compete at the WABA Mr. Universe
Right.
in 85
Yeah.
and looked even better than at the 83 Olympia.
Really?
Really?
Bigger, even harder. I did not know. I always thought 83, that was pretty much it. And it's went constantly, I know, kind of downhill from there. But the 85 was he was like 10 pounds heavier, bigger. And I kind of found out what happened in 84 when he should be at least second or third, and he placed sixth. So I got a better insight into what happened there. But yeah, they truly screwed him over in 84.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then when he came back after his little trip to the WABA, it was too late, you know, then he didn't have the physique anymore. But
Yeah.
great stories, absolutely.
What
Hey,
year
I
did he
was at-
retire? When did he retire?
He kept going for a while. He was like in the 90s.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Competed in the Masters Olympia a few times.
Okay.
I know 92, I think he still competed at some pro show in Italy. But Steve was in that show. Steve Prisco was in that show. I think Steve placed fifth. Flavio Baccioni, which I met yesterday, he came to my house. That was a surprise visit. He placed fourth, and Kevin, I believe, won. Milos placed third. But he did, some year didn't do great there. He was probably 13th, 14th, but that was in the early 90s. He still competed.
Here's a story. In 85, when he competed in that WABA World, I was there.
Really?
Yeah. Now he won. Jeff King took second.
Yeah.
Terry Pastel took third. And Eduardo Kovac was fourth.
What a lineup, huh?
Good lineup. Now, when Eduardo was announced fourth, he went and grabbed the microphone and blamed it on Nubret that he had lost and Nubret had cheated him, and went on for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Wow.
So I only saw a video and it was pretty poor quality, but Samir was that good. Huh?
Yeah, it was a good show. Yeah, he was in great condition for that show. I was at the hotel room with him there.
So he won easily, huh?
I would say so. Jeff King didn't have a back, and so he was close to the front. Terry Pastel was unknown. He looked fantastic. He could have placed second. And Kovac was a little off and watery. He usually was.
Yeah.
And in this show, he was off.
I know he did
thought
some
he should have won.
Yeah, I know he did some shows for Serge Nubret. Was he involved with the WABA or NABA in France? And he was notorious for not paying the athletes.
Of course, give him a check that was empty envelope.
Correct.
No check in there, empty.
I think he offered Samir in one of the shows, instead of the $15,000 prize money, a tanning bed.
Oh man.
Not surprising.
Yeah, and Samir, of course, wanted no part of a tanning bed. And then Serge put on a piece of paper, I owe you $15,000.
I owe you, right? I think that was what was in the envelope of each. I owe you, whatever the amount was for the placing.
Yeah.
I take it he never got his money.
I guess not. Huh?
Probably not, yeah.
Nice tanning bed, though, right?
Wow.
Didn't Samir do the 2012 Masters Olympia?
Correct.
Didn't he make a comeback in 2012? And the year that Dexter won, the last year they did it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Correct.
1990, right after I got my pro card in '89, I went to Australia and I did a month's tour of Australia. And while I was there, I believe it was the NABA. It might have been WABA or the NABA World was in Australia. And Charlie Claremont won it, and I believe Gary Lua was in it. Remember Gary Lua?
Yes.
Incredible calves.
Remember the name.
Just an Australian bodybuilder, like curly hair. Incredible athlete. And Samir was in that. But I remember, do you remember a guy called Sean Davis from England?
Sure. The dinosaur.
Yeah, well, Sean was in that as well. And I actually went for a meal with a guy called Pete Wall. And Pete was an incredible bodybuilder. I think he was a lightweight or a middleweight. But he just won the world championships, drug tested. And we all had lunch. Me, Sean Davis, and a few other guys had lunch at Pete Wall's house. And Pete Wall spent the whole lunch telling us how he passed the drug test, even though he wasn't drug free. I'll never forget it. It was all about timing. He was using Anadrol and a lot of other things that he just stopped him at the right time and he passed the test, no problem.
Wow. Yeah.
Funny how you remember these things, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a picture somewhere from that lunch. I'll have to find it and post it.
And then 2 days ago, so when I saw that video about a week ago of that Grand Prix in Italy, somewhere in the early 90s, where Steve Brisbois placed fifth. So I noticed that Flavio looked incredible. I mean, we all know of his deficits, but dry, really dry. So he lives in Palm Springs, and coincidentally, he called me up 2 days ago. We train in different gyms. I don't see him much. And I said, let's come over and chat a little bit with you. Yeah. So I said, Flavio, how did you get so dry? Just tell me exactly how you got so dry. So he told me about the weirdest freaking thing, about how he stopped the water and just drank exactly what he peed. So he measured his pee and, it's just chaotic stuff, guy, So I said, what do you mean? What you tried to tell me is it was pure genetics, that you were this dry. But then he was kind of showing me his legs and his abs. The guy looks pretty much the same.
Jeez.
He doesn't need a lot of, if he's short muscles, he doesn't need a lot of size. He pretty much looks the same as he always did.
Wow.
So he's like, I'm going to compete again. He said, I'm going to compete again. I just have an issue. My shoulder is so fucked up. I can't do a pose, I can't get into the position for the pose.
Mhm.
So he's even considering they can change the front of the biceps pose a little bit, or even go to classic possibly. But he's training hard every day and wants to possibly come back.
How old a guy is he now?
65.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's possibly the best 65-year-old guy I've ever seen. Maybe next to Tony Pearson. So.
Yeah.
There's not much of a difference from how he used to look. Yeah?
Wow.
He's going to the gym at 5 in the morning and training hard every day. So quite incredible.
Wow.
Incredible.
Every time I hear about him, I always refer back to when he was standing next to Ferrigno on the stage at the Olympia.
Oh,
That's
first thing when you meet him, he will show you those pictures immediately.
really
Mhm.
okay.
Ready on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, that comparison, I think it was for the 10th spot or so, 10, 11, 12. What you often don't see on that comparison, the Swiss-Turkish guy, one of my old friends, Hamdullah Kutluk, was the third man in that comparison.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, he's probably the hardest athlete ever lived, probably.
Yeah, he's as hard as Munzer was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you know, because he had so much less size than Munzer, he was probably even a little drier than Munzer, right?
Probably so.
I remember him in the gym. I mean, it was scary, you know, how hard he was in the gym. So we train in the same gym, and he's a little bit on the arrogant side, let's put it mildly. So he used to come to the gym, and not even I think he was either a painter or he worked construction or something. So he used to come to the gym and not even remove his workout fit. You know, he just did a few sets pumping, 20 minutes, and he was out.
Right.
And I remember I never seen him training legs. And the guy had incredible legs, absolutely incredible legs. And I asked him one day, I said, look, do you go some other place to train your legs? You know, and he's like, no, I don't want him to get too big. I ride the bike here. So that pumps my legs up. So that's enough for my leg training.
Wow.
So he had an incredibly weak back. Other than that, he was great.
Yeah.
I was already back as a young athlete. You know, I'm a few years younger than him. I was only a Swiss junior champion. So in his eyes, I was absolutely like a loser of first degree. Yeah? So I asked him, I said, can we maybe train together sometimes, you know, and we can maybe benefit from each other. Maybe you can train back with me. He says, why? I said, well, you know, I think I have a pretty good back, you know, maybe I can help you with your back. So he looked at me and he said, let me tell you something. If I want a fat back like you, I'll let you know.
Oh boy.
They competed at the Olympia. I was so excited, you know, it's the first guy I really knew very closely, you know, competing at the Olympia, and I called him up the second I had a chance. He placed 12, 13 at the Olympia. It looked great, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it must be incredible, you know. Dorian Yates, I think Dorian Yates was at his absolute best. I think it was being 93. And I said, how was he? Hamdullah on the phone. Dorian looked like a piece of shit. I should have beaten him. I said, really? You know, oh yeah. They cheated me. I should have won the show. I thought, wow. I wish I would have that kind of confidence level.
Yeah.
But of course, he constantly got
right?
some balls and trouble in the gym. So he constantly had to kind of move to the next gym. You know, he was impossible to get along with. So that's the third guy on that famous call out between Flavio and Lou. I heard that, then we're going to move on. But I heard another very funny story today about Lou, you know. I'm sure Samir doesn't mind telling him today. So François, you know, our friend François came with me today, and François used to be very close with Ali Molla. You know, I'm sure you guys remember Ali Molla.
My workout partner at one time.
Yeah, and what I heard today is once Ali went back to Saudi Arabia for a couple of years, he became very, very religious. So he used to come back, and when he came back, he was totally changed, the long beard and just talking about whatever, you know, his religious stuff. And Samir wasn't very happy about it. So he used to go to Golds and sunbathe in front of Golds in a chair, in a like long white outfit, you know, like, you know, Muslim outfit with the big beard. But he didn't go in very often. So they scared the living hell out of Ferrigno. And Lou called Samir and said, hey, do you think Ali tries to blow up the gym? So Samir told him, don't worry, you know, Ali is fine. You know, he will not blow up the gym. You know, everything is gonna be okay. Yeah, it was a fun day. Absolutely was.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Phil and I were just talking about Lou. He posted that he went in Jack LaLanne's house and did a tour of his gym, his home gym.
He bought his house.
He went into Jack LaLanne's house and posted a tour of his gym, his home gym, and all the equipment in there and stuff from like the 1930s and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Amazing. So what kind of equipment did they have in 1930?
Right.
Everything would look like ropes and pulleys, and the weights actually just like would stick right on the machine.
Wow.
Looks like something.
What I heard that he invented quite a few machines the way we know them today, but he never patented them.
Yeah.
And companies patented and made money off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the 30s, I mean, how many were there any fitnessy gyms or equipment? Probably not, right? So
well, I seen old poster of those Kellogg centers, late 1800s with like rowing machines.
right.
Wow.
So,
I'll show you guys. Y'all see this?
Is this recent?
Yeah, he just posted this like 2 days ago,
Wow.
and that's actually Jack's, his wife. But then he's
Yeah.
showing all of his equipment in here.
And I used to see equipment like that at the YMCA back in the mid-70s. Similar.
Wow.
Funny, I was actually talking about Jack LaLanne with somebody just the other day. It's weird that name came up.
It was like
He was a pioneer, right?
Calf machine,
yeah.
like.
Pretty cool.
So he probably invented a lot of these, huh?
I'd imagine, right?
Jason, you gotta show that picture I'm gonna send you right now.
Okay.
One of the first gym machines designed in 1892 by Dr. Gustav Sander in Stockholm.
Sweden.
Did you text it to me or email it?
Yeah, it's coming through right now on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Rope pulley.
Let me I'll send this to my email here.
And I have some good news, since I think we're going to talk a little bit about competing and federations.
Yeah, our WBFF girl couldn't make it, and Matt, the NGA guy, he's working on it. He's coming. But go ahead, JP.
So I helped to get that Grand Prix going a couple of years ago, the first time. We had now 2 years. I mean, we skipped 2020 for obvious reasons.
Right.
We had this Grand Prix as a regional qualifier. We couldn't get the pro qualifier status. It's just the first year was very difficult to start an NPC show in Switzerland, because the IFB Elite League was sending letters to all the athletes in Switzerland and said, if you compete in the NPC, you will be banned for life. And the Swiss athletes are very confused, because all we knew our whole life is the IFBB, under Wieder and Santocha.
Yeah.
It didn't go well. We only had 70 competitors. Then in 2021, it was an absolutely great show. 200 competitors, full house.
Wow.
So we were in the last few days awarded a pro qualifier.
Cool.
So that's great news. So there's even some speculation he might carry my name, but I don't know if it's going to happen. We talked about that 2 years ago already, to call the championship under my name, Jean-Pierre Fuchs Classic or something like that, and it didn't happen. So I told the organizer, don't play this game with me again. I want this to happen under my name before my father dies.
Right.
So,
I'm going to ask you a stupid question, JP.
yeah.
The IFBB and the NPC are split.
Well, there's the IFB Elite League and then the IFBB NPC Pro League.
Yeah.
So
You know about that, Phil?
No.
Rafael
Santana owns
split.
IFBB Elite. Juliet Bergman's on his side, and there's a lot of other promoters that used to be with IFBB International that are now with IFBB Elite, and that is a completely different organization to the IFBB and the FBB, and they're at loggerheads.
I didn't
They
know
actually,
that.
it was actually a big legal battle. How many years ago was that, Jean-Pierre?
The split?
Yeah,
Oh, not long ago. What's 2016, 17? I don't know.
yeah, 2017, 2016, something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when everything was changing. That's when the Olympia was up for sale as well.
Wow.
Everything changed.
Here's your picture, JP.
Right?
Wow.
Is that the machine?
1892.
Wow.
Like a bicep machine.
It looks awful lot like a biceps machine today.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks like a high-tech sewing machine.
That seemed to look very comfortable.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's
I
pretty
tried
cool.
to find out through the Manions and what exactly happened. And the normal way of succession would be that once Ben Weider died, that Rafael Santoja is becoming president.
Mhm.
And Jim Manion was pro chief, at that time, and that didn't happen. And I tried to find answers about what exactly happened there. I got some conflicted answers. I think it was just pretty much impossible to work with Santoja. And actually, Santoja is the one who started to give out all these pro cards. But then I think once people want pro cards, he suddenly wanted $5,000 from the athletes to give him the pro cards.
5,000.
Yeah,
$5,000. Lord.
yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Sheesh.
I know when I was competing, I mean, you'll be the same, JP. Wayne D'Amelia ran the IFBB Pro League. Wayne D'Amelia was the guy in charge of everything, and I believe he had to fall out with Jim Manion, and then Jim Manion took over that reign, and now Wayne D'Amelia is working with Raphael. He's running the IFBB Elite because I spoke to Wayne. Wayne called me after my heart surgery last year, and me and Wayne are actually going to be having a meal soon and going over how we can work together, because like you said that the IFBB Elite was less to threaten people not to compete with them and not only to compete with NPC in Switzerland. Well, we've had a very similar issue with the NPC here in this country. Unfortunately, I don't know why. I mean, I've said this before. I think athletes should be able to compete with whatever they want to compete with.
At first, when the split happened, the NPC was very open, at least at first, to let everybody compete from any federation without any consequences. But now, in the last couple of years, it changed again to. I'm not a fan of either. Absolutely, everybody should compete everywhere they want.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, athletes should be able to compete with PCA one week, NPC another week, NJ another week. Whatever federation they want to compete with, they should be able to compete. They should have the freedom to compete wherever they want. It's all the same sport
with no politics.
After the
condition, why won't you compete in multiple shows?
After the split, the IFBB Elite League kept a lot of the great shows. They had amateur Olympias in South America. I think at this point, all they have left is pretty much the Arnold's Classic in Europe.
Yeah.
That's all they have left. I read the other day somewhere bringing the Mr. Universe back, but I couldn't quite figure out from the article what federation would it be, for the IFBB Elite League or for the NPC Pro League. But it would be nice to have the IFBB Mr. Universe back, the best amateur in the world. It would be nice.
That would be.
Yeah.
That was it. That's how you got your pro card back in the 70s and 80s, late 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And I remember what the Manions told me. I met them last time when we were negotiating to get the show to Switzerland. I was invited to go to Jim Manion's suite in Vegas to the Olympia to kind of introduce our product or what we try to do in Switzerland. It was supposed to be a short time only where they give out all those pro cards to make up for the broken promises of Santoja. But now, for some reason, it stayed. We discussed it many times, this and giving out endless pro cards. But in 2018, I think the meeting was, this is only going to be for a very short time till we go back to a system of old. And I'm wondering, would it be nice to have one of the Manions, obviously not Jim, Tyler maybe here today, but I think to answer those questions, when this insanity is finally going to stop, because it's diluting the sport tremendously. Yeah?
I agree.
Yeah.
But, the bottom line is it's making them dollars. That's unfortunately.
Yeah, but I told you before, Ian, I don't see the money argument. It brings more into the pro, financially, but all people will not compete as amateurs anymore. And to compete as an amateur is even more expensive to some degree,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very expensive. And that's why they have these NPC IFBB shows together, because they cover the fees of everything. So,
but what you end up doing by giving away so many pro cards, because I correct me if I'm wrong, but I see that a lot of athletes that get the pro card with the NPC nowadays, that's almost the end of their career, and they pay each year to keep that IFBB status, so they can put it on the social media to make them. It's almost like a social status thing. To call himself an IFBB pro. Not many of them actually compete as pros. They just want to be called a pro. And that's a much different scenario than what it used to be. To me, when I got my pro card in 1989, that was the start of it, not the end of it. That's when I took 3 years off to gain size so I could be competitive as a pro. You don't see that a lot nowadays.
well, I mean,
I don't know, maybe 5% of those guys that actually get the pro card actually competing as a pro.
But then how much is it? How much does this pro card cost? $200 or $300 a year, I assume.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think they increased it. If we had someone from the NPC who knew, I mean, the last I had, I think it was like $350 a year. But you just look at, like, in 2019, I know for a fact that 1,072 pro cards were given out in the USA alone.
Wow.
Now times 1,072 by $350. That's a lot of money.
It is
now,
a lot of money.
They've got a residual income every year, whether those people compete or not.
I understand that, but they would still get a lot of money from those athletes if they have to go to the amateur shows, the USA and Mr. Universe or whatever there is. They won't compete as amateurs anymore, and they miss those entry fees.
Yeah, but I think that what they're doing when they give all those pro cards away, they guarantee that passive income that 99% of those people are going to pay. But if you got all those 1,072 athletes, they probably wouldn't compete every year in a show every year, because bodybuilders don't, do they? No bodybuilder competes every year, or very few compete every year. I know I didn't. They have years off, and I can't explain why, but I know the numbers. I know the basic numbers, and that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
That's only 1 year.
Yeah.
If you're looking at over 1,000 every year, and now you've got more classes, it's probably more like 1,500. You times that by your $350 or your $400, whatever the fee is, and you've got a passive income that's really not getting put back out there as prize money. There's only 2 real pro shows with prize money: the Olympia and the Arnold, right? Arnold puts up the money for the Arnold, so the Olympia is Jake Wood, still not the NPC or the IFBB. So all that money that goes into the IFBB for pro card status, none of it's been paid out as prize money, because each promoter is putting up their own prize fund, so it's going straight in the pockets.
Whatever happened to that possible, or that show The Rock is organizing, and
Athleticon? I was going to talk about that. I looked up their website the other day, and it's the website's still there, but it won't let you click on anything.
Yeah.
So I read something on Evolution of Bodybuilding about that the other day, and they say they don't think it's going to happen now.
No, it was supposed to be in Atlanta like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it never happened. Hey, what's up, Matt? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. How's it going?
All right, good, man. Sorry.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Guys, this is Matt. He promote. How many shows you promote now? 3?
4? I have 4 shows now.
4 shows now with the NGA. So that's why we were supposed to have a WBFF pro on, but she couldn't make it tonight. So before we get going, I just want everybody to know that we're just, this isn't to trash talk any league or any federation. All of us here have either competed in the NPC or have competed in the NPC at one time. Ryan and I are actually going to promote a PCA show. Ryan has people that go into the NGA show. I'm friends with Matt. I like the NGA. It's like Ian said, it's all bodybuilding. So I just want to make sure that we're, I don't want to trash talk anybody. you know, it's just positive, just giving some people some options. We'll talk about entry fees. We'll talk about pro cards, what it takes to get a pro card. You know, and there's advantages and disadvantages to every league. So really quick, Matt, I got your website pulled up, National Gym Association, for people that don't know, correct?
Yep.
Okay. You guys are all natural, obviously, tested. Basically, and correct me if I'm wrong here, bodybuilding, classic physique, men's physique, just like everything else, women's physique. I think the only thing you have extra is your with the women, where the evening gown suits, right?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll offer an evening gown category. And
Okay.
that's a non-sanctioned thing. I do that at the end of the show because some of the ladies do like to do that. And because with the Natural League, a lot of times we have a transformation class where a lot of people come down from, you know, heavy weights or whatever, you know, they lost 200-300 pounds or even 100 pounds.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will come out of the transformation and then they'll compete into the open classes. Like I've actually seen people come from transformation, do that, and then step into like novice bikini or novice whatever, and then eventually I've seen them go pro. Like you get a lot of good stories. It gives them a way to step on stage. And then also too, so leading into the evening gown thing, I like to do that because a lot of times the ladies, they love to do that. So some of them will come out of the transformation, but even a lot of them will come out of the bikini or figure or whichever. They love to put on the evening gown. It's a sexy evening gown. You know, very sexy walk, you know, you got the cleavage, you got everything like that. Like, so don't get me wrong. It's not your like high school dance gown. It is a sexy evening gown.
Mhm.
So, but a lot of women do like it so that they can compete. They may not want to do the other categories, but you can cover a lot up with it, but also get to dress up, get to tan, get to do the makeup, and get the stage experience and give them the confidence. And maybe they will go into the open classes. It just opens it up for them a little bit. So it's kind of unique to my shows for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, you guys are obviously, you're in Florida here with us, and you've got your fourth show here in Florida. Now, you guys are all the way in California. I saw some Ohio ones. Where else are you guys at? You hear me, Matt?
Yeah. What'd you say?
Okay. Where all in the United States are you guys at?
We're all over. I mean, mainly we're a lot in Florida, but you know, we do have some. We do have one out in California, I believe. What is it? Iowa. You know, we're starting to stretch across the states as far as that goes. But you know, we do like Wisconsin. You know, up in that Minnesota, like up in that area as well. But we're real prevalent in Florida. We got a lot in Florida, and that's where the Universe is held as well. Basically, they're Olympia, the Universe. They'll hold that in like in the Miami area.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you guys get a pro card with you?
With the pro card, what you have to do is there has to be at least, because you have to remember with the natural leagues, a lot of times it's harder to fill the classes because there's just not as many athletes. So there has to be at least 5 people in the class and you have to win first place. So, you know, if there's only 2 or 3, you can't win a pro card because it just waters it down. And then, you know what I mean? So it has to be reputable, you know, good class, and then you get first place and then you can get your pro card that way.
Okay. Cool. And you guys, same with you, Ian. You guys pick PCA picks their pros, right?
We base our pro status on from the USA finals at the end of the year. So we have all our qualifying shows. Generally, like this year, it started in April, and we've got 15 shows, and then our USA finals is at the end of October. And every single show leading up to that is a qualifier. And then at the finals, we award pro status based on standard. We don't do it just because you win your class. We feel like to gain pro status with PCA, you've got to be able to be competitive on the international circuit in the PCA. And PCA is across a lot of countries now. I think we're in nearly 40 countries now. So we've got, we've got to reach a certain standard that can be competitive with the UK pros, the Australian pros, South Africa, Russia, China. Every single country that's represented by PCA, you have to attain that standard. So we might have it where in, I don't know, like in the bikini class, if the standard's very high, we may give 2 pro cards out, first and second, but then you might get to the figure class, and if the standard of the figure class is not high enough, we won't give any out. I'm just speaking hypothetically, but it's all based on standard.
Okay.
We are going to offer a second pro qualifier this year, so we're probably going to do a second show apart from the finals where you can actually gain PCA pro status. But we've always tended to be very selective in who gains the pro status with PCA. We don't give that many pro cards out. We have actually opened it up a little bit more, because up until last year, we only gave pro status out to 1 overall men and 1 overall woman. So we only gave 2 pro cards out a year, like it used to be when I competed in England. But we felt like, because of how many pro cards were given, like I say, over 1,000 by some other federations, that we needed to loosen that. That was a bit too old school. That now we offer pro status in more than one category, and not just if you win the overall, but if you win your class, if you reach a high enough standard, then you'll gain PCA pro status. One thing we do though, we don't, once you gain pro status with the PCA, you do not pay a yearly fee. You do not pay your $350 a year. You earn the right to be a pro, and the only thing you would pay is an entry fee. You would not pay a yearly fee to be a pro with a PCA. I don't believe that's fair. I believe that's what other pro sport actually charges you to be a pro.
Are you guys charge NGA, Matt?
Yeah, we do, but it's very low. I want to say it's maybe $120. Like, it's cheap.
Yeah.
But it is, but it does. From what I understand, it helps the organization to where they can give out more prize money and everything at the universe and things like that. Because, like I said, with the natural leagues, they're just so much smaller, because it really does cater to a lot smaller crowd. Because even just with anything, I mean, you can't do anything. Not even a little bit of something like a water pill to do something, to help with anything like that. And so it really does limit a lot of people.
So I was going to ask you about that, about the drug testing. So it's pretty much all natural, nothing.
Well, what it is for, I guess you can do TRT, but your levels you need to have your doctor's note. And when we do the urine test, your urine test will come back, because if you win cash or you win a pro card, you will be urine tested, or first place. Any first place does as well. And we can actually check your test levels now in your urine. So, you're not allowed anything from diuretics to, high testosterone to anything. And it's 7 years. The NGA is 7 years natural.
7 years. Okay. And now if you get popped, what happens? You done? You test positive.
It's a 7-year ban.
It's a 7-year ban. Okay. That's what the 7.
You're done. And I've caught people before. It's actually happened. I've had some, I have a lot of times women, they'll come in and they want to use a little clenbuterol and think I'm not going to find it. Well, it's in there. So I call them. I'm like, sorry. So
now, as far as the TRT, is there a certain number that you look for, a level? Because I know there's that just have real high natural levels. And
no, well, you can tell if the anabolic is in there. Like, you can actually tell.
You're not looking at the level, the number. You're looking for
synthetic.
You'll see that the synthetic is in there, but it'll give you a ratio, and I can't know off the top of my head. I forget what it is. It's like maybe like 4 to 1 or something. But you can definitely tell, because I've caught somebody before too, and you can tell the difference between anywhere near natural levels or they're just up. Like your ratios are just way off.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So with a urine test only, how do you deal with a guy like me when I was an amateur who just wants to cheat and just stop every medication with, at the right time, but pretty much take everything all year long, take GH, take peptides? How you deal with that with a urine test that you can't detect it?
Well, what we do is, and we do understand that the polygraph tests they're only so good, and people can pass those. So we do polygraph everybody. And the guy that I use is an old veteran. He was with the sheriff's office for many years. So every athlete gets a polygraph test. And yes, to answer your question, I did. The last girl that I caught, she actually passed her polygraph test. and then I caught her for clenbuterol. So yes, here's what I always tell people: if you're going to pass a polygraph and you're not 7 years clean, and you pee clean, good for you. I don't know what I want you. I mean, if you're trying to cheat that bad and win a natural trophy and beat some people that are all natural, then you're a special kind of guy. But we can only protect so much. We can only, with those three, yes, but anything's beatable. I mean, let's face it, the people in the Olympics, they get away with it. So just with those three, those things there, that's the best we can do. I mean, it really is. We're not going to go through thousands of dollars of blood testing and pop in on you through the year, so we try our best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, NPC, they've got some natural leagues, right?
They do have some natural leagues, but from what I understand with the natural, with the NPC natural stuff is they do good, and they're just, I guess they're not drawing crazy crowds. Like I'll usually get over 100 athletes at my shows. There's just nowhere for them to really go, because I do believe you qualify for nationals, but let's face it, if you are 100% natural and you're doing NPC naturals, where are you going to go? You're not going to nationals. You're just not. You're not going to become an IFBB pro. So why would you really compete there? You know what I mean? Because where can you take it?
Well, what's the Natural Olympia? How does that work?
I don't know much about the Natural Olympia with the NPC, but the only thing I've heard was it just doesn't get the numbers, because it just doesn't really get the numbers. So the quality's really not there. So maybe they'll grow it in the future, but that's just what I've heard, that it's just not. It's not like going to the regular Olympia. There's not big prize money. There's not big,
obviously not. No, there's no freaks. Yeah, people aren't.
Right.
Yeah. The Team Universe, I believe, is a tested national level show, correct?
That always has been.
Yeah, but the Masters side of it, they don't test, I believe.
Okay.
So
Right.
The open side of the Team U.
But as well, there's nowhere to go with it. Like I said, if you was to win those, so say you go and you do an NGA show, and then you can take that and you can become an NGA pro. If you win a local level show or something with the NPC Naturals, we don't, as far as I know right now, we don't accept their winning to then be able to be a pro. Like we don't accept,
No.
you know what I mean? They're not pros. So we do accept a lot of natural league pros. So if you're a pro in another league and there was 5 or more in your class, and it's one of our reputable leagues, natural leagues, we will give you a pro card. You show us where you got it. You show us what show it was. We check it out, and then we will give you a pro card. You don't have to requalify with us to then have pro status, and you can compete in the pros.
Now, what?
So we try to be kind of politic free and open it up for a lot of the natural athletes. So
now, what's the average? What's the average entry fee for you guys, Matt?
For I know my shows are $100 for your first entry, and then if you want to do a crossover, it's $60.
Okay.
So they're pretty cheap and stuff like that. And like you were talking before, Jason, we're not here to bash or anything like that, any other leagues or anything. And I've gotten along. I get along with everybody in all the leagues and stuff, and I compete in the NPC myself, and I love it. You compete there. Like I love everything they do. I love all the organizations and everything like that. With the natural league, what I wanted to do was give these guys that did want to stay natural the big trophies and the big stage and the DJ and all the stuff that you can get in these bigger leagues. And I don't want to call them unnatural. They're just technically not tested, but that's okay. Stay in your lane and go where you want to go. But a lot of the natural athletes do go into like the NPC and other organizations to see how good they can do. All we're doing is just trying to give these natural athletes the choice. If they want to stay 100% natural, we try to protect them as best they can. And maybe we'll do good for in the future, so that if guys do want to switch over, they'll stay natural longer. Because, we've seen the problem with these kids. They're jumping in so early and getting screwed up, and that's the case a lot of times. So maybe if we keep these guys till in their 30s or something, and they're natural pros. Kai Green was actually an NGA pro. years ago. He went pro with the NGA.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So, if we can give these guys great stages to compete on that are natural, and then if they decide, they're tapped out and they want to move on, good for them, but it's a lot safer, to do it that route. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm pulling up some of from the Gator Classic here.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
I've had several people over the years that I've actually put in Matt shows, just because the quality of the show that he puts on is just, far superior to any other natural show that I've been to or seen. I mean, you got a very, very, very good stage. The lighting's great. The music's amazing.
Trophies are nice.
Great trophies, staff to the backstage pumping up, and there's always plenty of room for the athletes backstage. Great pump up areas. I mean, he really does a good job and rolls out the red carpet for the athletes, is what,
Right. Well, and that's what I want to do for them. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, I love all the leagues and stuff like that. I never bash any of them. We just want to be able to have a place for athletes to choose, you know what I mean? Because I know Ryan personally. So, Ryan back in the day, you didn't have a choice. I mean, if you wanted to compete, it was NPC. There wasn't really, or some of the natural leagues were so small, they didn't offer anything, and there was no glamour. There was no stage. There was nothing for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. Ian, anything you want to add?
No, not really. Just I agree with Matt 100%. I think athletes deserve to be treated right. I think they deserve to have good trophies, good lighting, good pictures. Basically have a good experience. And I think a lot of, especially in this country, I grew up with NABBA. So I grew up with, I didn't grow up with just one federation. I grew up with multiple federations, and NABBA were always, so honestly, back in my day, NABBA had some of the best physiques there were. And a lot of the top NABBA guys ended up going IFBB just so they could continue their career. That's kind of what I did. I won some NABBA shows and then ended up switching federations. But I just think athletes should be able to compete where they want. And as long as they're being treated well, given a good platform to compete on, and with quality lighting, quality sound, good trophies, just having a good experience, I think athletes should be able to compete wherever they want. And politics shouldn't play a part in it. It should be all about what you bring on the day. I mean, the judges should judge what they see on the day, whether you've won a show before or not, whether you've got a famous coach or not, whether you're sponsored by somebody famous or not, whether you've got one follower on Instagram or 50 million. It should be irrelevant. They should judge what they see on the day, and to me that's how it should be. And I applaud Matt for looking after athletes and putting on a great show, because that's what the athletes deserve. They don't deserve to be treated badly or to be taken for granted or to be ripped off. We try and make it all affordable. I mean, the way PCA is put together, we do it different. As you know, we don't do a pre-judging and night show. We do a run-through show. We judge it and announce the results there, and then we try and make all our fees very affordable. We're probably the cheapest out there. I think we do like $50 membership for the year, $50 entry fee. We don't encourage crossovers. We allow one crossover, but we don't allow multiple crossovers. And it's all about just giving the athletes a fair platform to compete at an affordable price, because to me, bodybuilding is a working class sport. It's not a rich man's sport. No. And with the opportunity to go on and progress, like Matt said, compete as a pro or compete internationally against athletes of a similar level from different countries. I mean, to me, when I won the NABBA Universe when I was 19, that was probably one of the most exciting shows I'd ever competed in, because I was competing against American, French, Spanish, German, Swiss bodybuilders from all over the world. And that's when I think you can really say that you're one of the best at what you do, is when you compete against people from everywhere, So that's all I try and do is, I think we're all on the same boat. I think we all love bodybuilding. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be taking time out of our day each week to do the podcast, and you wouldn't take time out of your life, Matt, to promote these shows if you didn't love the sport. Because you're not going to pay your bills from it. You're not going to buy a house from it. You're not going to retire from it. you know, you've got to love what you're doing. Otherwise, why would you do it? So, you know, I think we're all bodybuilders at heart, and I think we all want the best for the bodybuilders. So that's kind of the bottom line for me.
Matt, what's the name of your federation again? Could you repeat it for me?
NGA.
NGA. So Frost used to compete in the INBF.
Yeah.
So what's the highest title you guys have, or what's as a pro? Is there a title?
We have the universe. We have the universe title.
Yeah. Very good.
And actually, I have a. Oh, let me see if I can show it to you. Here was last year's card.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see that.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, that was last year's universe card. And Ian, to add to what you were saying about, you know, the politics with the judging and stuff, what I have actually done is we use 5 judges, and my head judge I use for whether I switch out the other judges or not, I use the same judge, and you can look him up on Instagram, Barbarian Hack. He's a multiple natural pro with a lot of leagues, and he's very well known. So I don't, you know, because a lot of times people get into, you know, promoters having athletes in the show and blah, 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 and all the politics and stuff like that. If my judges even really know somebody in the show, they'll step back and I'll set somebody else just for that class.
We do exactly.
And also, yeah. And also now that the athletes are really getting to know Hack to where they can contact him directly. Like he runs the judging panel, like that's his deal. Like I promote the show, he's my head judge, I let him do his job. So when athletes have any issues or any problems, he can tell them straight up, listen, this is why we chose this. This is, you know, because everybody's, you know, you got 10 people, one guy is nice, you know, are not upset. You know, you get the first place guys like, oh, good night, judges, you did a great job. Everybody else is like, I don't know what you're looking at. Yeah. So, you know, he's very diplomatic where he can speak with the athletes when they reach out, because a lot of them are upset. Like, what were you looking at? And he's like, and since he's a pro himself, you know, in the natural league, he's like, well, here's what it is, this, and this. And he talks to them, you know what I mean? To where there's no favoritism at all. Like, I don't even look at the scores. I don't have that. I'm running the show to where when they get called out, because I love to hand out some trophies and stuff, I don't even know who's winning. I don't have time for that because it doesn't matter to me, you know, who is winning. They're doing their jobs down there and keeping it so that it's not political. And I know Hack, a lot of times he'll bring some athletes to the show. He'll step back, he'll step out and let somebody else judge that class because he wants nothing to do with it. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you guys do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do exactly the same thing. In fact, in my judges meeting and with all my judges, correspondence, if any judge has a good or a bad relationship with an athlete, they're not allowed to judge that class. They have to step out. And myself, I mean, I have prepped athletes in the past. I'm probably not going to be doing it again, but I generally head judge most of the shows, and I basically make sure that all the judges are on the same page. And if I have a judge that's kind of out of line, I will go and ask them why they've made that decision, and you know, not just why, but what are the reasons why they chose that athlete in that position. Right. I just make sure, and if I know any athlete, I don't actually judge. I just head judge. So basically, I have 5 other judges, and I'm the head judge doing the call outs, and then I monitor those 5 judges. But I don't. My scores don't count. I'm
really
the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you're technically, there's kind of 6 of them. There's 5 judges and then the head judge.
Yes, but
okay.
I don't actually score. I just monitor all the judges, and if I don't agree with anything, or if it's a tie, then I'll make the decision. You know, basically that's how we do it. We've got some really good judges. I mean, we've got like Steve Brisbois, who's been on the podcast a few times. A guy called Peter Chapman. We've got some judges that have competed NPC. Some female judges, Wendy Rojas. We've got some really good judges, and I think Ryan is going to be helping us judge this year too.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, good.
Nice. And what about for people that are watching that maybe want to compete or, you know, just started competing, posing seminars? What is the purpose, and what should they look for when they go to these posing seminars? And, you know,
Is that for me, Jason?
Yeah, you could start with that.
Okay. Yeah. The posing seminars really it's for athletes of any standard, any level of experience. It's for people who are not sure if they want to compete or have never competed before. We basically go through, we divide athletes into the different classes, and we show you the basic quarter turns and compulsory poses that you'll be asked to do on stage. And we basically help you we show you all the intricate details and tips and techniques of how to hit the poses correctly and how to change them to suit your physique. So generally speaking, I would concentrate with the bodybuilders. We have a men's physique guy one of our pros, Chris Thompson, that usually comes to our posing seminars, helps us with the men's physique. And then we have other athletes that have competed with us in the past that will section off and go and help the other groups. But it's also an information thing. It's not just about posing. You know, if anybody wants to come to a PCA posing seminar, we don't charge for them. They're all free. So people can come and pick our brains about contest prep, how to get ready for a show, diet, training, what you need for the day of the show, what to expect at a show. We'll give you links to videos so you can watch previous shows. It's just kind of to alleviate a lot of those nerves that a lot of athletes would get by going to a show the first time, and what to expect, and just to help them out. And we don't even require that you're going to compete in a PCA show. If you're going to compete in an NGA show or an NPC show, we welcome everybody to come, and I will help all athletes to help them prep for a show and to give them better advice on how to present themselves on stage to the best of their ability, irrelevant of what federation you're competing with. Obviously, we'd like you to compete with us too, but basically, it's like I said before, it's all bodybuilding. It's all the same sport, you know. And generally speaking, all the federations are looking for the same things. They're looking for the V-taper, the small waist, the flaring lats, the condition, the muscle bellies, the balance, the symmetry. And I also help people with posing routines too. If people want to put together a posing routine, I will personally help them. I've competed at quite a high level. I've competed in Olympias, in Arnold Classics. I was a pro for several years, and I did well as an amateur athlete. And I'll share all the knowledge I've got. And that's why we bring a lot of PCA judges and PCA athletes to come and share all their knowledge. So it's just basically just like a meeting of the minds, I guess you could say, you know, just to help people out. Well, you came to the one at Ryan's last year. You see what we do.
Yep. It's almost like you're a superhero, Ian. Like you have a cape.
Why do I always get it? I get more ribbing on this show than anything else.
Ian, I see that you didn't respond. Right? You didn't respond. I tagged you purposely on Instagram on Milos's post when he's training with Regan doing rack deads. I tagged you and Jason on it. I don't know if you.
Oh, I saw it. Was that today?
I think it was yesterday. Or
yesterday, I think. Yeah.
I saw it. I saw it. I've got to be careful who's watching or reading this. I'm like, you know what I'm going to say to those with the rack deads, man.
Yeah. I did comment on it and then deleted the comment once I reread it. You know, I saw the comment.
Right.
So I wrote an answer. I was rethinking it after I read it, and I deleted the answer. I was saying something in the order of it looks like I'm the only supporter of rack deadlifts in this lineup here, and I still had the best back of all of you.
I did do them. That's why, you know, we messed with Ian a lot.
I think you're wrong, JP. I think I'm the only one against them.
You're the only one against them?
I'm the only one against them. Everybody else seems to like them.
Matt, you're a new guest on the show. What do you think about rack pulls?
Oh, I love them. I love them. The older I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, the older I get it, I love them. Oh, yeah.
You can come back on anytime you want, Matt.
Let's correct it. I would not have done them during my career. I would have felt this is not the deadlift. Right. But I did change my opinion on it. Let's put
right.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. But you know what? We've all got, again, just like competing in different federations, we've all got different ideas about training and what works for your physique, right?
Yep.
So, Jean-Pierre, I'm curious. Which picture did you choose?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
with 1 and 4.
1 and 4.
Yeah. I mean, 4 is, I had to cut off the legs, like get them on there. So that it looks a little better with half the legs on it.
I've never seen you look so serious.
I know, it's totally
You've normally got a smile on your face.
Yeah.
You're so serious on that one. You're like you're going to beat somebody up.
I always hated the picture because I don't flex. My legs are not flexed. So I always did, and I still don't like it today. So
Oh dear.
yeah, I get asked a lot about
You sell those posters, Jean-Pierre.
Sorry.
What do you do with those posters?
Well, I'm asked constantly if I can do something, if I have something, a poster or so. So when my gym owner asked me, if I could create 4 posters, so I thought, all right, it's time to. So the best quality picture I own is by Hans Hadorn and by Chris Land. So I don't have any contact with Chris Land or Weider doesn't exist anymore. So it has to be very high quality. So I contacted Hans Hadorn and he sent me these 4.
Right.
Then I thought, why not? I gotta post something at some point again. My lack of social media presence. So I thought this might be a good posting. We'll see what people say. Not that I really, I was with 1 and 4 from the beginning on. It doesn't matter really what people say. But
What do you mean you've got 102,000 followers? That's quite a lot.
I do, but I have no reach anymore since I don't post regularly. I don't understand it. I post something and I reach 12,000, 15,000 of my followers and maybe 7,000 of non-followers. I don't know what's going on. It's algorithm stuff. I don't know. Maybe my political convictions. I have no idea what it is. So, or maybe I just don't post enough.
Yeah, you got to post a lot. You got to post a lot. I've learned that. It's all in the algorithm or something like that.
This posting did fairly well, so some people saw it, but I told you before that for example, that posting I did about the peptide show with Dr. Shotto, hardly any likes, hardly any comments, but 4 clients.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you have something like this. Everybody loves it. Everybody has an opinion. 100 or over 100 comments, but not one client, maybe one. So it's kind of we're not chasing likes here. And not only likes, we're chasing business.
Yeah. No, that's good. You got 4 clients out of it.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
But right now I'm so consumed with creating my app. So I'm pretty much.
How's that coming along?
It's that my design team in India finally starts to understand what I exactly want. So I finally gave the green light, signed the contracts, and now they always say that once the money comes in, once I pay the salaries, 3 months. So I paid the first salaries, I signed the contract, hopefully 2 months and 2 weeks. Because I had to be absolutely positive they understand my vision, because those people are top designers, but they didn't design fitness apps before. They design apps for way bigger companies. And I finally feel confident enough that the team understands what I want. So hopefully by March, April, the app is running.
Good. I wonder how Dorian's doing with his. I haven't heard any more backlash on it.
Yeah, I speaking of app, I know the app he's using, and I will definitely approach him. He'll be one for the first one, or we will hear from me.
Yeah. You see, he started a podcast now.
Did he? All right.
Yeah. It's called Muscle and Mind, isn't it, Ryan, or something? Mind and Muscle.
Something like that.
Yeah, his first interview wasn't that great. He had some doctor on there, but I don't know. I was kind of hard to follow. So. I don't know.
They're kind of going over all the deaths in the sport and kind of what the trending topic of all the deaths and kind of what to prevent it. The doctor that he actually had on the show, he's here in Florida in Winter Park.
Is that where he's at?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know him. I watched like half of it. So
Ian,
Yes, sir.
you said you kind of know personally Wayne DeMilio.
Yes.
You know this guy who has this very large podcast, but not really bodybuilder. He interviews a lot of mobsters and businessmen, but he did do interviews with Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates. He's a Middle Eastern guy.
Value entertainment.
Bettit, whatever his name is, David
So-
Bettit.
He did have Wayne on a few months ago,
Mhm.
and it was truly one of the most entertaining interviews I've ever heard.
I've seen that one. He's a big fan of the sport of bodybuilding. He loves bodybuilding, although he has no
I think
bodybuilding.
I know who you're talking about. I think I might have watched it actually.
Or is it Patrick David or something?
That's him, Patrick David.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you mean.
Yeah. He's got a good. He has
Yeah.
good
Entrepreneur.
podcast.
He's an entrepreneur.
So
I think he's in Florida.
I think he just relocated
hmm
with all the pandemic. He moved his business to Florida.
Yeah.
I would love to ask Wayne on this podcast, although I will never get a honest answer, why he tried to steal money from me twice.
Wayne was a character. I'll be honest with you. Towards the end of my career, I wasn't the biggest fan of Wayne. I thought he was behind. Put it this way: my pro debut in I think it was 93. I was supposed to compete at the Night of the Champions. I had to pull out because I made some bad mistakes with my water and diuretics. Never used diuretics again. And then I ended up competing. I ended up basically getting forced into competing in the English Grand Prix. I was told by Wayne that if I didn't compete in the English Grand Prix that year, that I may not be able to compete in the pro shows I wanted to in the future. So basically I was told I had to compete in it. My sponsor at the time was sponsoring the English Grand Prix. On the day of the show, my sponsor didn't show up. So Wayne DeMilio was harassing me backstage, asking me where my sponsor was because he needed to pay him his money. And this is my pro debut. I'm terrified, you know, I'm like shitting myself before I go on stage. Cut a long story short, every year in that English Grand Prix, the top 6 came out and were awarded placings for the top 6. That year, I placed 6th, and only the top 5 were called out. That was my pro debut.
Oh, wow.
I'll never forget going up to Wayne the day after. It was with Lisa Frost Larson in the hotel, and I was pissed. And I said to him, I said, could you tell me why I didn't place, or could you tell me why I placed 6th? He says, well, Kevin and Flex weren't in great condition, but they posed in such a way that they looked like they were in great condition. And I just looked at Wayne, I'm like, come on, Wayne, you were 10 feet away. You know exactly who was in condition, who was not in condition. So that was my introduction to the IFBB Pro world.
Right into politics.
There was a lot of politics involved, you know. He looked after the people that were making him money. Dorian got a lot of favors because he was guest posing for some of these people, and they were all in bed together to a certain extent. I'm not slagging anybody off. It's just the way it was. I mean, that's just how it was. You know, JP. I mean, just the way it was, and that I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm so passionate about the PCA. That's why I'm so passionate about giving athletes another alternative, because, you know, some people want to play that game. I never did. I retired at 28 years old because I didn't want to play that game. I didn't want to be involved in anything where you had to kiss anybody's backside to get ahead. To me, you should be rewarded on your merit. But yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because Wayne, but then again, and I never thought I'd speak to Wayne again, because I always used to nickname Wayne the Jerry Lewis of bodybuilding. That's what I thought it was. Like, but then Wayne reached out to me after my open heart surgery last year, and I called him up, and we had a good hour, nearly 2-hour conversation, and he was really, really genuine. And I don't believe he's a bad person. I believe he's got a lot of stories, you know, like that podcast you listen to. He's got an incredible amount of stories with basically every bodybuilder you can imagine, and some of them are hilarious. But he's a very entertaining guy. And even though I didn't like him when I was competing for him, And my opinion of Wayne has changed, and I do like the guy a lot. And I think he's a very knowledgeable man. And to be fair, I think his show, The Night of the Champions, was probably one of the best shows ever. I think he put on a better show at that show than probably on par with the Olympia as far as the production, the stage. I mean, the one year I did the Night of the Champions, he had a bull on stage. Were you there? Did you compete in that one, JP?
I remember the story where they organized the camel running all over New York.
Yes, I do. That was before my time. But he went above and beyond to put on a really good show. And I think bodybuilding needs that, because like we spoke about the Olympia last year with the strobe lights and everything, I'm sure they put a lot of money into it, but I don't think they're thinking about how it portrays the athlete. I mean, we talked about the Olympia the year Samir Bannout won it. Was it 84? Where the athletes came up on those steps and they were backlit, so all you saw was a silhouette. That was incredible. That should be done again. You know, I want to do that with a PCA show because I think that is absolutely amazing. You highlight it. Everybody's looking at the athlete. They're not looking at the advertisements or the strobe lights. And to me, so I think Wayne was a brilliant promoter. I think he was a brilliant man, and I think it all got nasty with politics, and I don't know why. I don't have any insight into what happened, but maybe we should have Wayne on the show. I can call him up and see if he'll come on the show. Yeah, I mean, that guy's got some stories. Wayne has got some stories. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Call him up. I'll reach out to him. In fact, I'm going to write it down right now. I will reach out to him tomorrow and ask him if he'll be on the podcast with us. Okay, cool.
Jean-Pierre gets to ask him his questions.
Yeah, now be nice, Jean-Pierre.
Yeah. Don't give him ultimatums. I want my money or else.
I know Wayne's been struggling with cancer. I believe he had pancreatic cancer, and he's actually controlling it with very high dose of turmeric. And I know he's been struggling because, excuse me.
Pancreatic cancer is a very, very serious cancer too. It's very aggressive.
Yeah.
Usually it's not curable.
Under control,
it's very fast.
If he should reach out to me was because I had my heart surgery. He reached out about nutrition, actually, believe it or not, about taking sugar out of your diet and taking things out of your diet that could feed like cancer or be bad for your heart. So it was very nice to speak to him. It was really nice and refreshing to speak to him for so long. And I think he'd be a good guest to have on because he's got a lot of stories, man.
Yeah, definitely.
If he admits to having tried to steal money from me, I will donate $2,500 to the local children's hospital.
I can't say what he'll say. But we'll definitely get him on.
Yeah, he's great. His stories are great. And he was very open in that podcast about how much money the Olympia made and how much money the Night of Champions made, and laying out the numbers, and it's very believable. So
I'll have to watch that. How long ago was it, JP?
You will find it. It's only 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 6 months the most. So you find it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean,
you watched it.
He has like Phil Heath's a regular on his show. He done interviews with Chad Nichols and Sean Ray when they had their little feud.
Correct.
Ronnie, Dorian, I believe Flex too. I believe.
Yeah, he did have Flex, and I remember that. But yeah, it's so a lot of interesting stories. You have some pretty interesting stories though too, JP. You come out with some beauties.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, it's can you imagine Samir and I having lunch for 2.5 hours?
Yeah,
we should have recorded that and put it on the podcast.
Right.
I'm sure poor Frost was, once he arrived at home, he's like, oh my God, I can't listen to one more thing anymore, so and the poor guy had to endure me on the 2-hour ride home where I never shut up once I get going. So
that's a good story.
Something else I wanted to say while we're on, Jason, is I don't know if athletes know, but we at the end of last season, we only had 4 shows last year because of COVID, but we picked Team USA, which is basically the USA team that's going to go to the PCA Universe in England on May 15th to represent the USA, obviously. And we have one show before we go out to England again on April 24th in Tampa. So if any athletes would like another chance or would like to try and qualify for Team USA, they've got one last chance at the April 24th show in Tampa to be added to that team to go to the UK and compete at the PCA Universe, which we're going to have probably about 38 countries represented at that show. So
Nice.
it's going to be a huge show. It's going to be at the Body Power Classic Expo in England, in Birmingham at the NEC.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Ian, how old is the PCA?
PCA started, we started in the USA in 2018. Our first show was 2018, but the PCA started in the UK, I believe, in 2014. So it'd already been going 4 years when we started here in the USA.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's basically in the UK. It's the dominant federation.
Yeah.
They have an incredible. I think they had like 25 shows last year. They had about over. I think like they're getting about 300 or 400 athletes at a regular show, and the finals were like 700 athletes. But the standard's really good. I mean, I don't know if you've seen any of the athletes, the international athletes, but the standard is really, really, really high. In fact, the South Korea PCA has a natural league to it as well. So they do a natural PCA and then they have the regular PCA. Jason and Ryan have got some kind of joke going on here, and I don't know what it is. Go on, spill the beans, Jason. What is it?
No, that's nothing.
Go on, show us, tell us, share it.
Yeah, you can't be acting up on a podcast and not share it.
No, it's an inside joke. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys got the pictures going back and forth on the phones we need to know about?
I sent him I did send him the interview with Wayne D'Amelio. That's what I sent him over.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay,
Seriously,
we'll go with that.
seriously.
Yeah.
Ryan, while we're on, is that how you own your cup, or is it like this?
Is this me?
How do you do it again? No, you don't do it like that. You
No,
do it really weird. If you're Jason, show me how he holds his cup.
What do you mean with his fingers?
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's it.
Anyway,
Dear.
Dear.
Anyways, Ian, you got posing seminar coming up Saturday, right?
This weekend, yeah,
Saturday.
Epic Health and Fitness in Spring Hill.
Okay.
Free to everybody. Like I said before, anybody's interested in getting some tips, come up, go on the PCA website, officialpcausa.com, register, and you can come along and we will share our knowledge. If you've got any questions for me personally, I will be there. I'm at all the posing seminars, and we can answer any questions just for contest prep or how to pose better. Anybody's interested, come along. You're welcome. I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Nice.
And Matt, you got one on the 23rd?
I do have one on the 23rd. That'll be in Platinum Gym from, what do we got, 1 to 3 here in Sanford. So we usually get a pretty big team together. And like you said, Ian, as well, I welcome all athletes. I'll help them out, show them whatever organization. When it's open, it's free knowledge. I bring some pros in. They teach you how to pose, tell you what you're looking for, get the jitters out if your first time, all that stuff. It's there, all there free for you, information.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
we also we're going to host a show a posing seminar at my gym too on March 19th, right, Ian?
Yeah, March 19th. In fact, if you go on our Instagram, we have a list of all the posing seminars that we put out today. There's like a post there that lists all the posing seminars in Florida. Anyway,
Yeah.
We've got one in Kentucky, one in Maryland. We've got 3 in Florida, and they're just through till March. We'll be having them all the way through probably till the season really kind of gets underway, and then we kind of back off the seminars and we just concentrate on the actual shows. But yeah, it's I love what you're doing, Matt, and I think there should be more of us doing it where we just open it up to everybody.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, they're all athletes, and
Exactly.
you can make an athlete better and give them some more information, because with all this internet and everything we have today, I remember if it wasn't hand to hand back when we got into it and all that kind of stuff, you couldn't figure it out. There just wasn't posing clinics like there is today, for people to go through. I'll have 80 people at my posing seminars. We'll bring them all together and people make friends and make longtime friends at the shows. And that's the biggest thing. I have a lot of my friends are, when I started competing in 2002, was it the Mr. Pittsburgh was my second show. I actually did the Upper Ohio Valley Champions. It was NPC. I still talk to some of those guys that I was standing in line with. Like, make a friend. Like I've got 20-year friends from shows and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. It's a fun time.
That's what it should be. That's what the sport should be about. There's more to life than just the bodybuilding. It's like you say, it's meeting like-minded people, making new friendships. I know when we went to the Worlds in 2018, the PCA Worlds, a lot of the US athletes made lifetime friends with people from South Africa, Australia, and that's, where else are you going to do that? How else are you going to meet those people? It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. I've made friends and guys that have beat me in before. I've been in contact with them. Okay, what did you do? Because you did something different that, I didn't, because you beat me. And most of the time they'll share, hey.
Oh, I've had guys come train with me that I've beaten at shows. There's actually one guy in specific. He would come and train with me because he goes, I just want to beat you. He goes, you beat me like 5 times. I'm like, well, come train. I don't know, so, and we got to be real good friends, like a friend nemesis sort of thing. And like, it was always so fun.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's the judges. And here's what I tell people as an athlete, and I can say this because I've done over 60 shows. This is what I'll tell athletes, from promoter to athlete, from athlete to athlete. I tell them, listen, you paid a registration fee for an opinion. This is a panel of opinions for the day. You asked to be judged. Just because you don't get the answer that you get, you can't be upset with everybody else, because if there's 10 people in a class, one person is happy.
Yeah,
one.
Absolutely.
So,
right there.
Just come back and try again and respect the judge's opinion. That's all you can do. And I'll go up and get my feedback. I'll always go get my judge's feedback and see what they have to say. Sometimes I don't agree with it. Sometimes I'm like, well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, yeah, you always want to win, but so other than that, but tell me this, because everybody here has competed. What do you guys think about the difference between a second and a third place? To me, screw second. Give me a third place all day, because second place, you're kissing the first place, and third place, you weren't probably first because you didn't get 2 places back. So I'll take a third over a second all day long. And I've been in obviously all 3 positions. What do you guys think about that?
No, I never looked at it that way, but I kind of agree with you.
I've never looked at it that way either, but it's like you say, when you look at the judging scores, you can get a lot of different ways to get second or third. Not 9 times out of 10, not every judge has exactly the same scores. So it's an accumulation of different placings, which is why you get your second or third. I honestly, I mean, whenever I've asked for feedback after a show that I've competed in, I've really only taken notice of the people, the judges that I've kind of looked up to or respected. I haven't asked every single judge. I've asked the ones, like, say, if it was a famous bodybuilder or somebody who's judged at a very, very high level, I would probably ask their opinion and take that to heart more than somebody else. I remember when I did the Olympia in '95, I got told by a judge afterwards, an English judge as well, that my legs were too big. And I said, come on, this is the Mr. Olympia. Nothing can be too big. You must mean my upper body's too small. And she said, no, your legs are too big. So I kind of dismissed that. I didn't really take much notice of it. I listened to the other judges that gave me what I thought was more constructive criticism. So, we're all seeking to get the best physique there is, and there is no such thing as a perfect physique. There never will be.
Right. Yeah. The only time I've ever heard really somebody having too big of legs and it was validated for years was Branch Warren. Like, I couldn't imagine, you know, you guys are familiar with him. Could you imagine actually just not having to do legs? Like, your legs are too big. You got to catch your upper body up.
I'd love to have that problem.
Well, back in the
He
70s,
didn't
we had
know.
Tom
No, no, no.
Glass.
You say that
Was-
that was a curse to him. Think about that. I mean, you say you'd want that problem, but it's still a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I used to get it a lot, but you know,
Hmm.
it is where it is. To me, that just meant my upper body lagged behind my legs. I needed to get my upper body bigger, not that my legs were too big.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree with
Yeah.
that 100%.
Yeah.
After the pre-judging of the Mr. Universe, when I was on second place, I was told by the Belgian judge that my traps are too big. I still don't know up till today. I can understand the legs are too big, maybe under certain circumstances in a like Tom Platz way, but my traps are too big. I just don't even knew what the hell he's talking about. So
I think sometimes some judges, and it's hard. You've got to weed out your judges because not every judge that you try, you might respect their opinion, but until you actually see them judge, they don't always make sense. But I think sometimes I've heard judges from shows or people go to judges and they've given them the most asinine reason why they haven't placed well. I knew of one girl. She went to a judge at the end of a show to ask what she needed to work on, only to be told she needed to get implants.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy.
That blew my mind. And
Well,
it wasn't about conditioning or bring your legs up or make your glutes harder. Nothing constructive. Go and spend 10 grand and get implants. Well, if they're judging the boobs, there's something wrong anyway. They shouldn't be judging that. They should be judging everything else, right?
Right. Right.
Hey, here's a
And-
classic.
I
Sergio
was
Oliva was
thinking
told,
that.
Was that Matt?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I kind of like the, how about the old typical standard when you know the judges wasn't paying attention. If you ask one, it's like, well, your color was a little bit off. You know, they weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's like the
it.
universal answer, huh?
Yeah, your color was off. I'm like, okay, so you don't actually remember. Okay, right.
here's a good one. In the 70s, Sergio Oliva was told his waist was too small by Bob Hoffman.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
right up there with your legs being too big, isn't it? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
what
The
I heard
symmetry
from
was
Bob
too good.
Hoffman, I think Bob Hoffman and probably had more a skin color issue, probably.
Probably. Right.
I mean, the weirdest judges' feedback is definitely I get from the bikini class where cannot make up any reason without any basis, you know, in bikini. So it's the most frustrating class for me when it comes to coaching, you know. So I totally changed my approach to bikini coaching. You know, I used to, there's so many videos out there of team leaders and judges, and there's no more guidelines in any sport than in bikini. You can watch 24 hours a day videos about bikini. This is the trend, this is what you have to do, this not. So I used to base some of the training, the way I put the training together for my bikini athletes on listening to this crap. And then my wife brings me this video and that video, and till I decided 2 years ago at the USA, when I really screwed up one of my bikini girls, listening to she has to weigh this much, the legs have to be smaller, I just stop. I mean, of course, I will listen to general, you know, what a bikini has to be about, but I changed. And I will only now put on stage what I like personally, and my girls started winning ever since.
Right.
You know, just everybody's so individual in that sport. I used to make the legs smaller. I used to take all the great exercises out, you know, when it came to the last 2 months of the show. So yes, the legs gotten smaller, but they lost a lot of other qualities, you know. You can't just do hip thrusts and ankle straps, you know. You have to do heavy lunges or lunges at least, and squats and all the stuff. So then suddenly I just thought, this is all garbage. I will not listen to anything anymore. it doesn't make any sense when those people are already depleting, in a calorie deficit, when they're already losing weight, their legs are not going to grow. So I then did an opposite approach. I started to take that stuff more out in off season and then put it all back in closer to the show. And my girls started to look better and better and started winning. And after I abandoned any principle, anything I heard, and just went with my own gut. So yeah, judges' feedback can be tricky. When my wife plays 5th in the Masters, she was clearly more of a figure type. That's why she only plays 5th. She had more of an athletic body than when you looked at the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. They were just skinny girls. So the judges' feedback was, she doesn't have enough muscle. So where do you go from there? You can throw that right in the garbage, that's judge feedback. And he was the head judge. He was not like one of the judges. So yeah, I stopped listening too much. And of course you have to make correction if you keep losing with a certain athlete. But I do kind of my own thing now, and it's way better that way.
Yeah. You were all saying that, Ryan and JP, I think you were saying that you really like the wellness class, right?
Love it.
We're actually, I don't know if you know Ryan and Jason, but we're actually bringing in wellness this year.
Good.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we're going to include it. Really by popular demand. We asked the athletes what they wanted, and it was an overriding yes. Yeah, the athletes wanted a wellness class, so we're going to offer a wellness class now.
Nice.
So at the end of the day, I think it's all about giving the athletes what they want. Not everybody can win, but you can give them the classes they want to qualify in. So I think a lot of it, JP, because I'd never really judged until I started doing the PCA. I've judged NABBA and I've judged PCA internationally before I started running the shows, but up until that point, I'd never really judged. But I think a lot of it is, I know it sounds crazy, but it's almost like the X factor. You can see 2 people with the same development of body parts, but one person's got that, I don't know, it's a way they present themselves, the way they move. They just have like an X factor, and it's very hard to put into words sometimes. So in the defense of the judges, it's not always about because your calves are bigger or because your glutes are bigger, or it's a lot of it's just how it all ties in. There's a lady called Sinara Paulino, I believe her name is. She won the NABBA Universe in 2016 that I judged, and another guy called Fabian Meyer. JP, you might know who he is. He's pro now. But he won the NABBA Universe in 2016. And both Fabian and Sinara, who's from Brazil, they both had what I would call the X factor. And it's not something you can really verbalize, but if you saw them move in a video, you'd understand. It's almost like they're flawless. They don't have any standout body parts, but they're just flawless the way that the body ties together and flows. And I think that's sometimes very hard to verbalize for a judge.
Especially in bikini, but you guys will have a lot of fun with the wellness category. When wellness came to the NPC first, it was a little bit of a hit and miss at first. They were mostly bikini girls who were told, well, your legs are a little bit too big. So they in no way resembled anything wellness the way I knew it from South America or Europe. It's a certain type, and not every woman enjoys to blow up the legs like Tom Platz and keep pretty much a skinny upper body. It's a certain look, and when it comes to planning the training, and so you cannot just feed a wellness girl a bunch of steroids, because the upper body, even if she does very little, will start growing too. You have to really plan how you go about it. A lot of them is genetics. But now we're in year 3 at the NBC, and all those kind of misplaced bikini girls are gone from and the true wellness girls start to pop up. It's an absolutely fascinating category.
I look forward to it. I actually listened to what both you and Ryan had said about it, and I kind of took it on board. And then that's why we put out the questionnaire with the athletes, do you want wellness? And it was like overwhelmingly, yes, they did. So now we're going to offer it. So hopefully we'll have fun with it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that I like it so much, because it's constantly, it's totally against anything when you think of the word symmetry. It's really the opposite from what we are preaching or we are doing since 34 years. And And when I went to my first wellness show, and I didn't know what wellness is, I was sitting in the 2017 Amateur Olympia in Medellin, and those girls walked out, and the first 2 or 3 girls was like, "What the hell? This is weird." What did they not train their upper body? And I started to get more and more into it. There were 60 girls with those huge, chunky, big legs and big asses, and I fell in love immediately. Knowing what it is, how the freaking one did they train. And there was this one girl in the middle, I talked about it before, and she was just so superior. Her name was Angela Borgias. And I asked my friends, who is this? And they're like totally insulted that I don't know their superstar. So the next day I was sitting at the expo, and you could overview the whole expo room. I was kind of standing above, and I was waiting for Ronnie Coleman. They announced Ronnie Coleman. And I seen over there in the corner, like the Beatles, were in the corner there, like hundreds and hundreds of people standing in rows. And I think, what the hell is going on over there? I thought maybe some soccer player they brought in, and I went over there. It was this wellness girl, selling stuff in 2 or 3 days for $60,000, $70,000. I mean, absolutely incredible, and it cocked up pretty fast. I think it was probably the almost most fascinating class when it came to that for the first place. I mean, that was so great, those 2 athletes. See that duel, and they're absolutely great. I look forward to this year.
Yeah, awesome, guys. I don't have anything else unless you guys got something else you want to add.
Well, we're coming closer to the Arnold's Classic. Was it 7 weeks?
Yeah. Yep.
Looking forward to that. And I was thinking about kind of predicting, or not, but I'm gonna predict something now here. I'm gonna go out there. Who will win? Who will be the next Mr. Olympia? If not this year, I'm pretty certain next year.
I know who you're gonna say.
Nick Walker.
Nick Walker. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so more on board. I listen to what he says, what he gets the social media. He's improving. Like every week you check, he's like better. Let's hope he survives. We don't know about that aspect, but you never know. He might be more healthier than we think, or not. We don't know. That's pure speculative, but I think he will just run those guys over in the next 1 or 2 years. Rami, he wasn't that great last year compared to the year before, but I heard he couldn't train all year. So this year he's back on track to train all year. Then he's still, of course, the favorite, and Hardy is a threat. Brandon will, again, as good as he is, and Nick will be the next Mr. Olympia. I'm pretty convinced about that.
Yeah, Rami posted, was it yesterday they did an interview? His off-season weight right now is 341.
God.
That's what he weighs right now.
Yeah,
I heard he only trained 6 months last year for the Olympia. He had some personal stuff going on.
exactly. So then, of course, and if he's like he was when he won the first Olympia, or even a little better, Nick is still not going to beat him. Not this year, but other than that, I see Nick being the next Mr. Olympia, and then for many years to come if he stays healthy.
He's got to stay healthy. He has to stay healthy.
I mean, it's a good first step not to do the Arnolds. That's a good first step in that direction, and I think his coaching. I'm looking forward.
This will be the first time that he's taken a full year off in quite a while.
Yeah.
Or at least since he's been pro. Back on the Arnold Classic, Jean-Pierre, what do you think about Brett Wilkins?
I don't know enough yet. I just seen a few pictures. Can't tell you. I can get back to that next week. I will have to.
Gotcha. Have you seen the progress that he's made over like the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
He turned pro as a was it classic?
I mean,
I thought he was 212, or no, he was classic.
Well, he turned pro as classic, then went to 212, and now last year he did the open. I mean, I thought he looked remarkable.
We just seen it very often that it very often is a very rude awakening when you're something at the Arnold's Classic. When you're next to a Bonac, and so we'll see. I don't know enough about him yet to make a good judgment call here, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Nick Walker's definitely, he's definitely mainstreaming it, and he's hitting it hard. He really is doing good. Just God bless him. Hopefully, he doesn't nothing, no injuries or anything like that. And he's only what 5'7", from what I understand.
Fitzwater.
Nick.
Yeah.
5'7", yeah.
That's insane. That's a lot of muscle to pack on there, and hopefully, just structurally, everything holds up. I mean, he's going hard. Like you said, he's got great potential.
There, of course, there is no structure. This midsection is so wide, so putting more muscle in this case might work for this guy, because structure is not a window. I mean, he's never going to win the classic pulling title, so it might work in this case, But it's amazing how much I disliked that physique when I saw him placing second at the USA in 2019. I just, when Boston started to call him Kenkel, and I was totally, this guy is just looking horrible. But yeah, he's winning me over. And if he stays healthy, but I don't believe in a Labrado at all. I think Labrado is one of the most overrated athletes, we have in the pro circus. And I would probably not even have top 10. So it's just a little water balloon with a bad chest here. So far, I mean, maybe it changes, but I don't see it at all. So Nick is the man.
Yeah, I do think that Nick should have placed higher than him at the Olympia by far.
Yeah.
Oh, no question. I mean, it's not even
What's going on with Bumstead? You see, he's been sick and said he lost like 30 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's what I heard.
Yeah, he had COVID, and then he already has, what is it, kidney disease that he has? He's got something with his kidneys or something. He's got some problems where he doesn't digest food right or something. I don't know. Yeah. But then he got COVID, and then I guess he had some kidney issues, and he couldn't eat for a while. And I think he said he lost like 28 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there comes a point where you just need to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already done his thing. He's already, he was the best for, multiple years. What's the point at this,
Right. Very true.
I mean, I used to be obsessed with blood tests, and I over tested myself, and and I was taking pretty heavy stuff, at least for my era. And the first time there was something slightly off in my blood numbers, although I understand that you can't see everything in the blood, like having like a 78 liver enzyme number. It was at the very end of my career, and when you have problems, kidney problems, stuff like that, move on. Don't even go there, just move on, do something else. There's plenty. I think he's a good businessman. If that should be true, just move on. You'll be a legend forever. Look, the man I talked to today, he won Mr. Olympia, and he's a legend.
Yeah. Yep. Well, look, we brought up, was it last show we talked about Cedric, and he's hitting it hard. He's getting ready for Arnold.
Yeah. And he had a little bit of something going on.
Yeah, he had heart blockage. He had a heart attack. Said like 10% of his heart was working.
Yeah, I agree with you, JP. At that point, you just concentrate on your health, because without your health, you've got nothing, have you?
Yeah.
That's it.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish bad health on any of these athletes. I hope they all, if they come up with any type of health issues, I hope they all resolve it and move on and do something else. But it's just like boxing. You get some fighters that just don't know when to retire. They don't know when to step down, and it's. I had a lot of people criticize me for retiring in my 20s, but you make your decisions. You weigh up your pros and cons of what you're doing, and when it's no longer worth the risk to you. I saw a thing about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Today about not. Did you see that, Jason?
I saw where he was being interviewed, but I wasn't paying much attention to it.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing. That they asked him if he was going to come back to racing, and he said, I'm 47 years old. He said, I've got 2 kids. He said, I'm not willing to take those risks. He says, you get somebody who's in their early 20s, they'll take the risks, the really dangerous risks. But when you get older, you evaluate those risks and what you've got to lose, and you don't do it anymore. I mean, I remember when I was younger, people would always say to me, bodybuilding is going to kill you. And I'd say, oh yeah, but it's going to be a big coffin. I was an idiot. But now I don't think like that.
Yeah.
You know, like after what happened to me last year, I don't think like that at all. And I think you've got to, it's all about risk assessment. And when you're either no longer hungry or you've got health issues, step aside. And luckily, like the classic bodybuilding class has got a lot of great athletes in it. Some really Fabian Meyer, Wesley Vissers. There's some Peter Molnar that used to be a PCA pro. There's some great athletes in that division, and let them come through, let them have their day, let them show.
I was sitting to Fabian Meyer in my show in Switzerland.
Oh, really?
He was a VIP, you know, he's invited, so he went on stage to do a little demonstration. Not a real guest posing, but very, very, very nice man and looking absolutely fantastic. But talking about when it's time to go, I mean, I remember at the very end when some people tried to talk me into doing this like comeback. That would be sensational, you know, and the story alone. And I even was talking to Milos to maybe coaching me, and we were having a big sit down. And I always looked at it that way. In my early years, I lived in Zurich. I trained twice a day. I trained in the morning by myself, a small body part, and in the evening, a friend, car mechanic, picked me up at 6 p.m. in front of my house. We had to drive 45 minutes to get to a gym where there were more bodybuilders. When the guy was 5 minutes late, I was like a caged animal. I was like, I was screaming at the guy. I could not wait to get to that gym. You know, it was the best time actually in my bodybuilding life.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't there anymore. When you start to have moments like, oh my God, I gotta go now, you know, it's over. You know, you stop. It's not worth it. Yeah. You know, and that's how I felt, that this feeling is just not there anymore. You know, that caged lion is gone. So it's time to move on and to do something else.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I always said it's like when you watch the Rocky films when I was younger, you know, they say once you got civilized, it's over. And I think that's true. I think, you know, when you're young and you're hungry, you'll do anything. You know, I mean, I've got a story of when I was basically eating like 120 desiccated liver tablets a day, threw them all up and was picking through my own vomit to get the tablets back out to retake them. That, and my parents thought I was absolutely insane. But that's the level that you're thinking at. Now, if I'd done that when I was in my late 20s, I would have gone through that and picked them out again. I just wouldn't have done it, you know. It's like I honestly believe once you're civilized, it's over. And once I had my daughter, and you know, I was married, and it wasn't just about me anymore. It was over for me. I was done. It was time to move on. But it's that hunger you're talking about. I mean, it goes, and that's what that Dale Earnhardt Jr. said today. He said, you know, I've got other things that are priorities, the risks that I would normally take, which would make me a great driver, I am now not willing to take. Therefore, I'm not going to be a great driver. So what's the point?
With the risk that his father took. Look what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's probably why he looks at it that way. Yeah. And it's all about risk assessment. And like you say, how hungry you are. And, you know, it shouldn't really be like that. It should just be a leisurely sport. But there's so many other bodybuilders training their asses off, eating perfectly. You've got to go above and beyond to be the best at what you do. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, you know, I was there when he crashed in Daytona. I was working it.
Really?
Yeah, I was over there helping out. I think it was 03. Was it 02, 03?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the father?
Yeah, senior.
Yeah,
when he crashed in Daytona. Yeah.
Somewhat looked like a more or less not deadly crash on TV, at least. Yeah.
No, he just had a little bit of blood coming out of his nose. That was it.
Yeah.
We have an old saying, you don't want to overstay your welcome in any sport.
Yeah.
And yeah, usually it's not a good ending or a happy ending if you do.
Well,
look at some of the boxers that have done that. Didn't Larry Holmes do that?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, sir.
Getting way past his prime, and then some of his last fights.
Muhammad Ali.
He took away all his. You know, I think people don't remember you at your best. Then they remember you at your on your way down. I don't think that's a good thing.
That's funny you brought that up. I just saw George Foreman's birthdays today.
Oh, really? Wow.
73. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But you know, you like you, Jean-Pierre, like I retired like at 28, 29 years old, and I had lots of people when because I disappeared. And then once I kind of came back on the map, I had loads of people saying, "Oh, when are you going to make a comeback?" And I'm like, "I'm not. I have no intention of making a comeback. It never even crossed my mind. There was no way I was going to make a comeback to bodybuilding." And honestly, with my mind, it was like, it wasn't just that didn't have the hunger anymore. I would look at my pictures and say, "I'm not going to beat that.
Yeah.
What's the point in coming back and not looking better than my last showing? I don't see the point."
Even if I was, one of the comments on my new posting was, "Would you like to go back to that day?" And my immediate reaction, hell no. No, not even for half an hour. Why should I do, you know?
I don't regret anything I've done, but I won't go back and do it again.
No, I agree.
All right, let's Ian, let's try to get Wayne here. That would be a great podcast.
I will. I've actually written it down. I'm gonna reach out to him either this evening or tomorrow morning. I'll try and get Wayne on, because Wayne will have some great stories he can share.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Sounds good.
Good guess.
Nice.
All right, guys.
Alrighty.
All right, gentlemen, thank you all for coming.
Guys,
See you later.
take care.
Matt, thanks for joining us, man.
Nice talking to you,
Bye,
man.
guys.
All right,
Yeah, for
guys.
joining, guys.
All right, see you guys.
Good.